Okay, and we're back. This is the hotel where Morocco has celebrated its abuse of Western Sahara with the full support of Antonio Guterres, the corrupt Secretary General of the United Nations. Now, it's true. We've asked. We, Inner City Press, which covers Antonio Guterres' corruption, which for its trouble was roughed up and beaten by his security, paid for by you, the global taxpayer. Antonio Guterres, the man who sides with China, Paul Biya, any overdog, any overlord, to crush any oppressed people. Of course, with a backdrop of native dress, in order to say, we are the world. We are the world of corruption. Antonio Guterres hid his connections to the China Energy Fund Committee. It's a company that was convicted of UN bribery in the Southern District of New York, but he doesn't care. He hid his connections. He sided with China. He sided with Morocco. He would drink blood to get a second term. But we intend to do everything possible that second term is denied, because he's killing the United Nations. Okay, here we are. This is yet another Moroccan diplomat. This actually may be the individual who filed a false complaint with Alison Smale. Now, do we blame him? No. He's just an advocate for colonialism. But do we blame Alison Smale, who went along with colonialism, brain-dead, corrupt, sleazebag? We do. We do. And Antonio Guterres. A fish rots from the head. And the head of this fish is Antonio Guterres. Totally corrupt. Alison Smale, totally corrupt. The Moroccans, hey, they're just going for theirs. It's like Paul Biya. He's just going for his. But Antonio Guterres, totally corrupt. Yes, this is a man who's with Moroccan state media. They give him an office while they beat up other journalists. It's totally corrupt. No better than Kim Jong-un. No better than Sudan. No better than any dictatorship on earth. Oh, but with a fine suit. Totally corrupt. 100% corrupt. Not a journalist, but an intelligence agent. Corrupt. All right. Now we return. We return to the scene of the crime. See, these are the people. How many offices did Antonio Guterres give to Moroccan state media? This gentleman doesn't ask any question except pro-Morocco. None. None. It's not journalism. It's called corruption. It's called Antonio Guterres corruption. They should be embarrassed. Embarrassed. And Al Jazeera as well. Believe it or not, they write some great stories. But they colluded with the UN in the eviction of inner city press. No one has answered for it. Not Haroun Matassa, not James Bays, not Whitney Hearst of the UN, of the New York Times. Totally corrupt. They are corrupt journalists who evict other journalists. Well, they made a mistake, but you see, you have to admit it when you made a mistake. Nothing's been reversed. Look, is this some kind of another killer? Let's see. This is Antonio Guterres' UN. This is the UN of Antonio Guterres, where another journalist, where people wander around like zombies supporting colonialism and corruption. This guy he's a journalist, except when I was in the UN, he always approached me with Yemen stories as if he was working for a government. This is not, again, he's a perfectly fine guy. But as a journalist now looking at the UN for 392 days from outside, I can tell you that it's totally corrupt. Somebody is covering their face. When you cover your face, you're corrupt. We're going to follow this individual. The individual who tried to bar their perception must be profiled. Yes, it's true. Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. Now, there was a woman just there who covered her face. Let's turn it around. She literally covered her face with a bag coming out of Morocco's event. That is how corrupt it is here. That is how corrupt it is here. Now, we've seen Moroccan state media. We've seen Mr. Abadi. We've seen a lot of there are a lot of people just looking for a free meal and a free drink, and that's the UN. What bothers me is Antonio Guterres, a pimp, a man who covers up child rape and uses your dollars, public dollars. Yes, it's true. To have journalists beaten up. How is he better? How is he better than Halan, the guy in Myanmar who's now on sanctions? He's not. How is he better than Patrick Ho took his medicine? He's in the MCC. Antonio Guterres must be convicted, prosecuted, and jailed. He's corrupt. All right. The dregs now are pouring out. Not the dregs. Who knows? Maybe Big Tony was cutting some deals on the inside. You never know. He's totally corrupt. If there was an extra dollar on the floor, Big Tony would be on his knees. That's what he did for Patrick Ho and Ye Jimin, on his knees for dollars, dialing for dollars. Gulbenkian Foundation. Yes, a big name, extreme lectures in Lisbon, money for oil, a total hypocrite. A total hypocrite who had a journalist beaten up and banned. His spokespeople, hypocrites. Stéphane Dujarric, a month on vacation in France, beating up journalists. Poor little Ferhan Haq, once a month, an emailed answer about rape. Should quit. His wife should tell him to quit. She has more integrity than him. I'm being polite here. All right then, let's see. What further colonialists can pour out of Big Tony's satellite whorehouse? What do I have against France? I like France. I like the people. I like the food. However, they support a number of dictators in the world. They support Paul Biya. He's an 86-year-old man killing young people. Did you know that? And France, whether it's Macron, Sarkozy, it doesn't matter. They support it. They support Morocco in their colonialism of Western Sahara. It's an outrage. So the government is hypocritical. The people are fine. The culture, excellent. One of my favorite writers is Georges Bataille. So I have nothing against France. I have something against... And it's not even France. Of course, every country is corrupt and seeks its interest. But they dominate the UN. There's no reason that France has run UN peacekeeping 6 times in a row. No reason at all. That's colonialism. I cover the UN. I only cover France to the degree that it corrupts the UN, which is extensive, of course. But with Big Tony, it doesn't take it. He'll corrupt himself for Paul Biya. He cut out the middleman. He took a golden statue from Biya. Antonio Guterres is so corrupt, he would drop to his knees for the smallest dictator in the world. Guinea-Bissau. Disgusting. He's taken the UN to lows that have never been hit before. Never. And the member states that have allowed it have only themselves to blame when the UN chokes on its own vomit and decamps from New York. Oh no, they're hoping that some liberal zombie that likes them without knowing them is elected. They've been lucky the last 4 years. They won't be so lucky in the future, because when you cover up child rape and beat up journalists while being based in Manhattan, you just might find yourself ousted. If people knew what the UN did, the UN would not be welcome anywhere in the United States or in most civilized countries. Seriously. Wait a second. We have a man in a white hat. I hope it's not who I think it may be, but it may be. There's only one person I know who wears a white hat like that. Hopefully that's responsive. I hope that's responsive to your question about France. Wait a second. Oh, wait. I'm going for the white hat, but it appears that there's more. Yes, it's true. The corrupt sleeves fest. Now, what's in Morocco's brown bags? The heads of Sahrawi opponents? Big Tony? Cash? Big Tony takes cash. He's not looking for heads. He wants cash. Of course, he'll take whatever he can get. Seriously, Antonio Guterres had a journalist beaten up for daring to ask him about his corruption. Wait a second. Is this yet another Moroccan diplomat? I've seen a number. I've seen the PR. I've seen the DPR. I've seen Little Man. I've seen Tall Man. And I may soon see Middleman. Yes, it's Middleman. Middleman is on his road. He's come out to smoke. He's successfully lobbied. Wait, he's heading up. Wait a second. Is he coming back? He's taking off. He's corrupt. Yes, this is a man who walked by inner city press being beaten up in the lobby of the UN and said, "What can I do? What can I do?" Yeah, just like in Laayoune, he would stomp on human beings. Diplomacy? No. Corruption. All right, then. And we're back. What do we have? Wait a second. Are we going to have Paolo Zampoli? Wait a second. We have some native dress. Get ready. I want to pull back. These are some serious, this is a person who also works for the mission. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. We can call it the party of colonialism. The party of colonialism and censorship. As the Moroccan mission had inner city press beaten up and thrown out of the UN on a false complaint, they're partying down with lamb on the bones of Western Sahara. And they love it. They have the Secretary General they deserve. Totally corrupt. Totally corrupt. Yes, it's a yellow cab. They did it. They did it. There's no going back. When you start filing false complaints with a corrupt Secretary General, then all of your partying in the Intercontinental Barclays is for naught. 7Y66J, totally corrupt, 100% corrupt. And there it goes, into the night. Yes, it's true. Okay, we remain here. Who's coming out? Who's going in? Do we have a hedge funder? Do we have a guy carrying bribes to Antonio Guterres? Wait a second. More diplomats? Nope. Anyone with a brown bag is carrying the head of a Sahrawi. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. Wait, a military man. Now, what military man wears a white tuxedo with medals? I'm not sure. They're quite proud. Blood doesn't look good on a white tuxedo. I don't think. But, wait a second. Let's pull back. These guys, they're smoking, they're ready. If it was Layun, they could get down. And we have a woman in an evening gown. Yes, it's true. Wait a second. Is it Cristina Gayach of Spain? Is it possible? Is it possible that this is the level of corruption we've reached? Is it possible? It might be. It may be. These are the individuals who, with Colin... Yes.
News or what?
Yes.
News.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of news? It's a Periscope broadcast concerning Western Sahara.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. My name is Matthew Lee.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Okay.
Always there or just
I'm around. I cover the UN until they beat me up. Yes, it is.
That's your company?
Yes.
Can
all right.
You have
Sure, I'll give you a card. I cover the courthouse as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you,
No
man.
problem. He's received. Come down to the courthouse. Come and try to beat up a journalist in the courthouse. See, Morocco, in Big Tony's UN, they can beat up journalists 1, 2, 3. Let them come down into the Southern District of New York and try to beat up a journalist. They're the ones who will get locked up. As they should be. Totally corrupt. We're on the record. As you saw, if a murder takes place, that Moroccan gentleman with a Sahrawi head in his brown bag will be responsible. And we've captured it all here on film, here at Antonio Guterres' colonial whorehouse of the United Nations. Wait a moment. Oh, it's a different white hat than the one I had proposed. He wanted a card, and he got a card. Wait a second. We have more. The night is not over. Big Tony may have shot his load. With the late arrivers... Wait a second. Wait a moment.
Yeah.
We have people.
Matthew.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Good to see you, my brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see more, man.
UN is totally corrupt. I'm banned. I can't even enter as a tourist. That's how sleazy and corrupt it is.
Nice shit.
Yeah, it is.
I have to see you more.
Well,
When somebody keeps going, we don't
you're
miss you.
tell Antonio Guterres he's corrupt. Tell
you guys.
Yeah. I can't go in. I get invited to events inside, and they tell me I'm on a banned list because I dared ask about Antonio Guterres' corruption. So the journalists that are there and don't ask about it are themselves corrupt.
I know. Are you telling me?
Top to bottom. Bottom to top. All right, then. And now the coverage continues. The Moroccan Lamb Fest continues. Bloated, they wander and bounce off the greasy steps of the Intercontinental Barclays. Having partied for colonialism, they disappear into a corrupt city, into the night. Okay, we may well soon end our broadcast here, but what I can tell you is this. This venue has proved to be Antonio Guterres' whorehouse of corruption and censorship. To be continued.